Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack the incredibly diverse scale of events unfolding around our world right now on June 2nd, 2026. Today, we're really digging into how massive macro-level shifts and localized micro-level preparations are actually happening at the exact same time. We'll be relying strictly on the data and reports dropping today to understand this incredible spectrum of human and natural events. So think about this for a second. What do an 889-year-old Crusader castle, a 300-ton meteor, and a soccer pitch have in common? On the surface, absolutely nothing. But in the context of June 2026, they perfectly represent the sheer scale of global events happening right this very minute. Today's Explainer is going to connect these seemingly unrelated developments through a lens of impact and scale, showing exactly how our world is simultaneously navigating ancient geopolitical boundaries, the awe of the cosmos, and the meticulous planning of our local communities. Here is our quick roadmap for today. First up, global geopolitical flashpoints. Second, explosions in the sky. And third, securing the World Cup. Let's get into it. Part 1, global geopolitical flashpoints. We are looking at major escalations in both Eastern Europe and the Middle East. Now, what's really interesting about these developments is the sheer contrast in tactics when you look strictly at the stated military actions and geographic data reported today. We're seeing two very different tactical approaches happening at the exact same time. In the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, the stated actions are massive aerial bombardments, specifically drone and missile strikes targeting locations like Kyiv and Dnipro. Meanwhile, the situation involving Israel, Lebanon, and Iran is centered on ground movement. We're seeing the deepest ground incursion in 26 years, focused on locations in southern Lebanon, like Beaufort Castle, alongside strikes in Beirut's southern suburbs. Focusing strictly on the data coming out of Eastern Europe, authorities report that at least 10 people have been killed following Russian drone and missile strikes on Ukrainian cities early today. Around 100 others were wounded in the attacks, which heavily targeted Kyiv and Dnipro. In the capital, Kyiv, the impact included a suspected missile strike that actually caused a 24-story residential apartment building to completely collapse, trapping people under the rubble. This all followed days of warnings about a major assault, which saw thousands of residents flooding into the city's subway system to shelter overnight. Shifting our focus over to the Middle East, geography is absolutely crucial right now. Israeli forces have captured Beaufort Castle, also known locally as Khalat al-Shakif, which is a site boasting 889 years of history. It was originally built around the year 1139 by the Crusaders, and because it sits so high up on the Litani River, the fortress completely dominates the surrounding landscape. The capture of this specific site, which is about 10 kilometers from the border, officially marks the deepest military incursion by Israeli forces into Lebanon in 26 years. And, actions of that scale have massive ripple effects. Based on official statements, Iran has reacted by officially suspending all ongoing peace negotiations with the United States. Furthermore, Tehran released fresh missile test footage as a very direct signal of their current stance. But most notably for the global economy, Iranian officials have issued statements threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz. That is a critical maritime choke point, and closing it would have an immediate severe impact on global oil prices and international trade. Part 2, explosions in the sky. We're talking awe, power, and major technological setbacks right above us. While tensions were clearly escalating on the ground, the skies above us experienced massive disruptions of their own today. And this brilliantly illustrates the staggering scale of the forces we are dealing with. On one hand, you have a completely natural cosmic event, a meteor exploding over the northeastern United States with the force of 300 tons of TNT. Then, on the flip side, you have a massive technological setback for private spaceflight, the explosion of Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket down at Cape Canaveral. Both of these generated immense explosive power and massive shockwaves, but they stem from entirely different origins. Just to wrap our heads around the scale of that natural event, let's look at what NASA is saying. Jennifer Doran, the agency's deputy news chief, stated, "The energy released at breakup is estimated to be equivalent to about 300 tons of TNT, which accounts for the loud booms." Keep in mind, this fireball wasn't even associated with any active meteor shower. It just broke up over northeastern Massachusetts and southeastern New Hampshire right in the middle of the afternoon, echoing these massive sonic booms across the entire region. Conversely, that man-made explosion happened during what was supposed to be a routine procedure. Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket was completely destroyed during a static fire test of its engines down at Launch Complex 36 in Florida. The good news? 0 injuries reported. The bad news? The explosion caused massive infrastructure damage on the ground. This was literally the rocket's final major test before planned June 4 liftoff. So it marks a severe setback for the company, and it carries major implications for the timeline of future private spaceflight and upcoming lunar missions. All right, part 3, securing the World Cup. Let's look at local preparations for a truly global event in Los Angeles. Let's move to and see how this builds, because we've looked at global conflicts and atmospheric explosions, but now we're bringing the narrative right back down to the ground. We're looking at proactive, community-level preparations for a massive international gathering, with tens of thousands of fans descending on Los Angeles for 8 World Cup matches at SoFi Stadium starting June 11th. Local law enforcement is rolling out highly specific safety protocols. The LAPD and the LA County Sheriff's Department have outlined 3 major focal points. First, strict enforcement of no drone zones around the venues. Second, aggressive prosecution of counterfeit tickets and merchandise. And third, direct advice to the public to secure IDs and valuables deep in bags or front pockets while navigating those massive crowds. If you want to know just how seriously authorities are taking the airspace above these games, listen to this number, $100,000. That is the maximum fine for operating an unauthorized drone over SoFi Stadium. Ahead of the U.S. men's national team's opening match against Paraguay on June 12, officials have made it crystal clear. Violators won't just face this massive financial penalty, they'll also have their equipment confiscated and face very real, significant federal charges. No exceptions. Ultimately, all these local preparations are really about managing the human element of a global spectacle. LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman summed it up perfectly in a statement today, saying, "Los Angeles is ready to shine on the world's biggest stage. Our #1 and most important goal is to keep everyone safe." It's a great reminder that behind all the massive infrastructure and the strict rules, the real priority is fostering a secure environment for people coming together from every single corner of the world. Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. Just look at the immense contrasts we've mapped out today. On one hand, we have major geopolitical borders being fiercely contested and astonishing explosive forces echoing in our skies. But on the other, we have local sheriffs and city planners meticulously organizing traffic, enforcing drone fines, and protecting tourists. So the question I leave you with is this. As we navigate these massive, shifting global events, how will the quiet, dedicated preparations of our local communities shape our day-to-day lives for the rest of 2026? Think about how the micro impacts the macro. Thank you so much for joining me. Keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.